All right, hello. Yeah, okay, we're recording now. Hi. This is Eric Salazar, and I am in Group 3, Animator 6, and I am doing shots 12 and 8. Today I'll be going over my progression so far in shot 8. The shot that I'm doing is the victim character struggling to get free of his or her bindings, um, and then hearing a noise, their savior coming through the window and reacting. So let's see what we got here so far. My group decided to make the female the hero and the male Antsy the tied up victim. So here we have our victim tied up and struggling to get free. I did get a recommendation to possibly make it to where he was already free and then just waiting there. Me and my team had discussed it, and we figured that if he was already free, why would he maybe still be in there? So we're just gonna have him keep being tied up. So here you see him struggling, and then next you see him kicking to go free. This is another one of my basic keys. In between this key and the previous one, I need to add a few breakdowns of him kicking more and flailing, more of a position shift from the arch looking back to the kickback. And then next we have the realization that his savior, the female, which in our case is a Black Widow type character, she's coming in through the window to save him, and he sees her. But when he sees her, he doesn't necessarily think, "Oh, I'm getting saved." He thinks, "Oh, wow, look at this beautiful woman coming through the window." Um, I tried to go with a more cartoony approach in this shot, just to exaggerate the qualities a bit. So here you can see him bug out his eyes looking at her and then going back in, as you would see in a traditional cartoon sequence where you spot a beautiful woman. Jaw dropped, eyes open, and everything. And then after that, he gets excited. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get saved, and it's by this beautiful woman. Let's hop up and down a little bit." And then you see his suave, smoldered look and a quick little wink there. That's the quick breakdown of my scene. Now we can go into detail and talk about what I've done. Let's put it on the nerves curve. So um, what I've done so far is mainly just in the face and the torso, and then with the flail, a little bit of the feet. Really, with this scene, him being tied up and with the camera angle being so close in, there's not much to work with. Just because a lot of the elements are cut off or hidden because like he's tied up. Um, so what I did here was I just curved the back, positioned the head. We're always told that if it looks good in the camera, then don't worry about what it looks like in the scene. In the actual scene, he's not even looking at his hands. He's looking at the ground. His eyes are even popping out of his head. But as long as it looks good in the camera, we are good. Like I said before, in between here and here, I need to add some more struggles, possibly some more kicks, just to transition the movements together. This is where the feet actually came into play. Um, Probably going to keep them in there for just a short amount of time. A kick doesn't really take necessarily a long amount of time. And then in between there, we'll have him settle, possibly slouch down in maybe disappointment that he wasn't able to free himself. Then we have the spotting. These pop out and in needs to be fairly quick. One, to save time, and two, also to instill that illusion that his eyes are popping in and out really fast, because if they pop out and stay there for so long, then it'll look fake and not realistic, in as much realistic as we can with eyes popping out of the head. In order to do that effect, I actually had to play around with some controls a little bit. If I do plan on refining this more, I do plan on making possibly a blend shape for this effect, in order to get, just to make it easier. If I do decide to go to a more realistic route and not have the eyes pop out and just have him react more, then I would just get rid of this entirely. It's not too hard to do. It was a simple scale and translate effect, with the eyes and pupils and glasses. But as you see, it's pretty fun. These two poses are the same, so I might have him maybe jump or hover in the air as if he's not affected by gravity, as you see in a traditional cartoon. Maybe to add more effect of the wowza look and realization. Then in between these keys, I needed to add more breakdowns, to have him sprout up real fast from his chair, from utter shock to happiness. I need to add more breakdowns to that. Possibly a shift in the hips, and play around with the curvature of the spine, as well as the facial expressions slowly transitioning. From here, I have him jumping up and down a few times. This is just a quick block out. When I refine it more, possibly play more with the back arc, with the curvature. In these basic poses, all I did was grab the hip control and just moved him up and down slightly in different keys, which works, but in order to get the more desired effect, probably play with his head bouncing as well as his antennas, and his tail probably will bounce up and down too, along with the rest of him. That's another thing that I need to play around with through the rest of this, is the movement of his antennas and the attitude of his tail. With a restricted shot like this one, you need to use all the elements you have as much as you can. So whenever maybe he sees her have his tail pop up possibly and wiggle a little bit as like to show his happiness. But then after we have the jumps, we have the glance and the smolder. The transition between this and this I need to work on, because I have to find a way to get him from super ecstatic to, okay, let me calm down and get serious here, because I gotta impress this girl. I'm gonna have to figure out the placement of those frames, because the transition between those two emotions will be interesting to play around with. It's all in the facial expressions, and maybe have him do a little swivel with his spine, like swoop into this position that we have right here. And then the wink. The wink cannot be too fast or too slow. If it's too fast, then you don't really see it, and then if it's too slow, it looks like it's just something's wrong with his eye. I'm gonna play around with the positioning of these poses too, because if he just blinks and the rest of him doesn't move, then he looks robotic and not alive, and we don't want that desired effect. So I'll probably play with the positioning of his spine a little bit there. Maybe have his head tilt when he winks. Make him do a little nod to the female. And then I do also, those are the basics of the keys and the breakdowns that I plan on adding. I don't think I'm going to change much. The only thing that will probably or might change drastically is if this does not get approved. I would change that back to normal and then adjust the facials to show extreme emotions instead of using his eyes to show it. But here, let's Let's just play it through so you can see it in motion. This is it in stepped. And I have not seen what it looks like in auto yet. So let's try that. Let's see what that looks like. And Maya's freezing. Auto. Okay. Yeah, I see the things are being weird. So I'll definitely have to play with that. And Maya is chugging. That is not good. So let's see, let's switch that back to stepped, because that's better. But yeah, that is my shot breakdown.